Good afternoon, or should I say happy early evening. Thank God it's Friday, but for some of us it could be Thursday, it could be Saturday, it could be Tuesday, because sometimes it's just like that. The days just blend together. I pray that your Thursday was filled with spaces and places where you found something to make you smile, something to make you laugh out loud. And maybe even when you found that thing, you shared it with someone else. So there was a communal laugh. There's something about laughing in community with people. It's something about being in community and everybody's laughing and nobody can stop and tears are coming down our faces. Oh, makes me smile right now. We've been doing a series about the signs that you may be mentally and emotionally exhausted, and we are framing this around almost 6 months since mid-March of being under the influence of COVID precautions or lack thereof, and how it has drastically changed our lives, how it has now caused many of us when we leave the house to make sure we have a mask, to make sure when we go in public places that we wear them, just all types of changing, which as we may be adjusting, there may be some signs that mentally and emotionally you're now just kind of exhausted by all this. So we've been talking about one sign is you're easily irritated. Number two, you feel completely unmotivated, especially to do things that you normally like, that you normally love. Things that used to bring you joy, you don't have a lot of motivation to do them. And then today we're going to talk about you're experiencing anxiety or panic attacks. And so now I am sort of multitasking. Okay. So you're experiencing anxiety or panic attacks. And the first thing we need to do is kind of talk about what's the difference, or is there a difference? And yes, there is a difference. And I'm reading an article that's entitled, "What is the difference between a panic attack and an anxiety attack?" When in doubt, just Google. And the response is, there are similarities and differences between anxiety and panic attacks. An anxiety attack often comes in reaction to a stressor. For example, you're walking down a dark alley and you hear footsteps, or you're even at the top of a roller coaster and looking to go down at that large hill. And for me, I can relate particularly to the roller coaster thing because I don't do roller coasters. And the last couple of times I did it, when it comes up to the top of that hill, my anxiety is like off the roof. In an anxiety attack, people may feel fearful, apprehensive, may feel their heart racing or feel short of breath. But, and this is the good part, it's short-lived. And when the stressor goes away, so does the anxiety attack. When that roller coaster finally grinds to a stop, I'm good. My legs may be trembling, my heart may still be rate pounding, but I'm no longer at that heightened anxiety state. So an anxiety attack, again, your heart could be racing, you may be feeling fearful or apprehensive, you may feel short of breath, but the symptoms are short-lived. And again, it's in reaction to a stressor. A panic attack, on the other hand, doesn't come in reaction to a stressor. Who knew? It's unprovoked and unpredictable. So a lot of times when we say to people, what were you doing right before it, or what may have triggered it, they don't know because it's unprovoked and unpredictable. And during a panic attack, the individual is seized with terror, fear, or apprehension. They may feel that they're going to die or lose control or have a heart attack. They have a host of physical symptoms which may include chest pain, shortness of breath, dizziness, nausea. And in addition to these terrifying panic attacks, people start worrying about having the next one. And that's why, and there's a lot of what's called anticipatory anxiety. Okay, so a panic attack, a lot of times I know of people who really believed that they were having a heart attack. They were finding it hard to breathe. They felt like their chest was caving in, and they got emergency assistance, only to find out they were having a panic attack. Now, a panic attack may not be as, in the moment, as detrimental as a heart attack, but in the moment when you're having it, it's exactly what it feels like. I've never experienced one, but that's what I've learned from people who have talked about it. Again, some of the physical symptoms are chest pains, shortness of breath, dizziness, possibly nausea. I was just reading a Facebook comment thing about what can you do if you're having a panic attack. And they talked about the idea of making sure that the person is able to access some cool air, to just feel the cool air on their face, or to have something that they can touch to ground them. Okay, something cold, something that has weight to it, something that changes their sensory system. Okay, but the consensus seems to be cool air, a fan on you, put your head out the window, those types of things that will stop it in the moment. Another sign, if you've had a panic attack, is that you may start avoiding places where they're having the panic attack. So, for example, if they had a panic attack in a grocery store, they may stop going to that store. The challenge is in these COVID days when we are social distancing, some of you may be experiencing panic attacks in your home, and you really can't avoid your home. And so one of the things I invite you to think about first and foremost, that what you're experiencing is not as uncommon as you may think. It's a pretty common disorder. I'm not exactly sure where it comes from, but it's a pretty common disorder, and it is treatable. And that's the important part. It is treatable. In my practice, a lot of the persons who I encountered who were having anxiety, who are particularly panic attacks, were persons who have been traumatized, okay? And that can be a piece of it, a piece of the response to the trauma, the post-traumatic effects, what has happened after the trauma, okay? But again, it is treatable. And so what we want to pay attention to is if you are experiencing frequent anxiety attacks, or if you're experiencing panic attacks, this would be a good time to reach out for some assistance. This would be a good time to check in with either your medical provider or to find a good therapist. I'm mentioning your medical provider first because you can rule out if there's something physiological that may be causing it. And reaching out to a mental health therapist can help you to begin to work on whatever the underlying piece is, the underlying piece that may be triggering these panic attacks that you may not necessarily be aware of because it's buried so much deeper within your psyche. Again, the good news, it's treatable. The good news is if you're experiencing this now during these COVID days, it's a normal response. It's a normal response, or can be a normal response to a highly unusual situation that I believe has caused us to dig deep. For some of us, we've become much more introspective and have done a lot of work on self. This has given us time to really work and reflect on ourselves. For some of us, that process has been enlightening, and it's been like a breath of fresh air. But for some, it's been difficult because we've spent so many years running from whatever that dark thing is from our past, that it held us down, that it kept us bound, that kept us in a state of shame or guilt, that has kept us not feeling worthy, not good enough. But today is the day, or today can be the day that you can say, I'm on my path to freedom. I'm on my path to healing and restoration. I'm on my path to becoming the best me that I can be, the best me with all of my flaws, with all of my challenges, with all of my accomplishments, with all of my fantasticness, because we are full-bodied array. We have a full-body array of characteristics. Some we like better than others, but they all make us the unique individuals that we are. So again, I invite you just to consider these videos, to consider if you are mentally or emotionally exhausted, and if you are, to consider that help can be given, that you don't have to stay that way, and no, you're not losing your mind, you're just responding to a very difficult situation. And I invite you to consider all of this on purpose. Have a wonderful weekend. Do something that makes you smile. Listen to a message of encouragement. And you can be a messenger of encouragement to someone else. Love you all. Talk with you possibly on Monday, Labor Day. Talk with you. Bye-bye.